In the last lesson, you were supposed to read a short story titled The Sniper. And in The Sniper, there was a twist ending, and you were supposed to make a plot map. How many of you were surprised by the ending of The Sniper? It's very dramatic. So, so you guys were surprised. I was surprised too, right? I think it's a very painful ending. If anybody asks you, it's a war story, right? It's a war story. If anybody asks you, is this story pro-war or anti-war? When you really look at what the author is he telling us that war is a good thing or a bad thing? What do you say? Why? Why is war bad? I know that some of you were like saying that you wanted to go war to war, that wars were cool, but what you're seeing in this short story is what war is all about. And the winner, want to use the winner, a sniper that escaped with his life. There was a price that he had to pay, also a terrible price. He escaped with his life, but at what expense? Killing his own family, killing his own brother. And I don't mean brother in a figurative sense, in a literal sense. He was literally his brother. And he didn't know he had killed his brother until the end. He shot his brother. So you have brother against brother. So even the cost of victory can be very high in a war. Wars are terrible things, they are tragic events. Okay, so let's keep on moving. Today we're going to a story that is a little bit more traditional, right? Where you can clearly see like the good guys and the bad guys at your typical Hollywood blockbuster. The story that you're going to be reading today is titled The Most Dangerous Game. And before we begin exploring the elements of literature of this story and the story itself, I would like to ask you a question. What do you say? What are your thoughts on recreational hunting? And let me make a distinction between the word recreational and when you have hunting without the word recreational before it. What is recreational? Recreational is when you do something to pass your time. Like, for example, when you're playing video games, that's a recreational activity. When you're playing basketball, that's a recreational activity. When you're reading a book that nobody told you to read, that's a recreational activity. When you go out to the park to have a walk, or when you go to the beach, or when you go to the movies, or when you go out to have like dinner, that's a recreational activity. So hunting can also be approached as a recreational activity. What do you think about hunting recreationally? Do you agree with it or do you disagree with it? Mr. Marin, what do you say? Oh, you've done it. So in Puerto Rico, but in Florida, okay, because that's interesting. It sounds very real to me what you just said because something that you see in the United States that you don't see much in Puerto Rico is this mindset of having my son come with me hunting. I'm going to gift him with a rifle so we can go out there and shoot something, right? That's very typical. It's very common, that mindset of let's go hunting, and that's going to be like a rite of passage. That's going to be an experience that will make my son grow and become a man. This thing of hunting recreationally, hunting for sport. Anybody else? Some people can agree with it, and some people disagree with it, and of course they all have their reasons. Um, what about Ms. Rosa? What do you say? You don't like it, and the reason being what? What's your reason for not liking it? Okay, okay. So, do you think there's any difference between hunting recreationally and just hunting for like survival, or there's no difference? Okay, so basically, what you're telling me is that one might be necessary and the other one might not be necessary. I think that's what you're trying to say. Okay. Anybody else would like to chime in? This is a very controversial subject. Some people believe that hunting for sports is immoral. You know, when I say immoral, it means that it's wrong. That you should never hunt at all. There are some people that go to that extreme. They say that no, because we have to respect the animals. They have as much as a right to live as human beings, and we should all be vegans. That's one extreme. The other extreme is that, yay, let's go and let's shoot at some endangered species because it's fun. So people actually pay money to go on expeditions to Africa to hunt for sport, and sometimes they go to hunt rare species that are truly endangered, but they don't care because fun comes first. I personally stand in a middle ground. I think that human beings are important, and that we are the top species for a reason. We're the top species on this planet, and I believe we have a right to hunt for survival without being cruel, respecting the game that we're hunting. I use the word game. I probably use the word differently than the way you usually hear the word game. I use the word game, and you're probably thinking, "Well, game is like playing Fortnite or playing chess or Chinese checkers." That's not the definition of the word game here. Does anybody know what game means? Game, Game. Actually, game refers. It can be used as a substitute or a synonym for the word prey. Prey. Pray. Praying, now when you're talking with God, not that. It's Prey. Pray is what you hunt, and the word game is what you hunt. And so the title of the story is The Most Dangerous Game. And they're not talking about Chinese checkers or headache or operation. I'm not talking about that. Okay. The literary concept that we will be exploring today includes suspense. And suspense is a state of anxiety or dread or excitement when you're awaiting an outcome. Suspense is great in stories. Suspense in real life sucks. I hate suspense in real life. It's horrible. But in stories, we seem to enjoy it, right? Because we have no stake in it. It's somebody else's stakes. And suspense is something that keeps us glued to a story because we want to know what happens. There's a curiosity of, okay, I want to know what happens. What's going to happen? Is he going to survive? Is she going to succeed? What's going to happen? So that keeps us glued to a story or a movie. And one thing that helps create suspense is something else that is called foreshadowing. Foreshadowing is the other literary concept that you're seeing here. And foreshadowing refers to the use of a hint, like a hint or a clue that suggests that a dark occurrence will happen later on in the story. That something bad is going to happen. There's like a suggestion. For example, you're seeing a movie, and there's a very serious conversation, and at the end of the conversation, you hear like thunder, and you go like, "Uh oh, something bad's gonna happen to this person or to this other person." They're like clues or hints. Of course, in cinema, it's different than in books. Books do it differently, right? But that foreshadowing is the impression that, okay, this person said this. Uh, this newlywed couple said that they were going to be happy forever. And if you have a superstitious mindset, you're going to go, ooh, you're jinxing it. You understand what I'm saying? Right. So these are the two literary concepts that we will be exploring. The strategy that we will be using is that of making predictions, and making predictions is making educated guesses. You get a little bit of information, and based on that information, you say, well, based on this should happen. I want you to look at that photograph carefully. There's a frozen landscape, there's a Cessna airplane, and there's someone on a parachute. Looking at that photograph, can anyone make a prediction of what will come? What's the outcome here? There's a guy in the parachute. There's the airplane moving in a certain direction. Can anybody tell me what's going to happen here? Mr. Alfaro, I didn't hear you. In, in, in English, please. In English. We're in the English class. You were saying? Why are you saying that? Okay. Anybody disagrees with Mr. Alfaro? Does anybody disagree with him? Or do you all agree with him? With his prediction? Okay. Okay. Okay, and you know what? I completely agree. I made a prediction. My prediction was that this guy was going to die. The parachutist was going to die horribly, based on what I'm seeing there. And I am glad to announce that that is not what happened. What you're seeing here is something called forced perspective. We spoke about that in cinematography, where by the perspective you're seeing something that is not necessarily true. That parachutist is quite far away. He is not exactly in front of the airplane. Okay, so he's quite a distance away, and the airplane will go on its merry way without touching this guy. But when you look at it, the way it is shot, the angle, it looks like the guy is in front of the airplane, and of course, this airplane has two propellers in front of it. This guy's gonna get shredded to pieces. And the prediction is not wrong. I'm not saying that your prediction is wrong. You were not privy to the information that this guy is actually far away, because I made the same prediction. So what I just want to show is that based on information that we have at a certain moment, we take that, we make an extrapolation, and we say, okay, this should happen. And we do this when we're reading. When you guys are sitting down with mom and dad watching a mystery or detective story on Netflix, and your dad starts saying, they're going to kill this woman, or this guy's going to die. You'll see. They're going to kill him this way. And you're like, Dad, like, shut up. You're ruining it, right? You're messing it up. Uh, but later on, it really happens. What did your dad just do? Well, he made an educated guess. He made a prediction based on information that he already had. Okay, and before he had that information, there was foreshadowing. That foreshadowing created suspense, and you're anticipating. Remember, anxiety is when you anticipate that something is going to happen. So, suspense and making predictions go hand in hand. Because if you had not made a prediction, you will have no suspense. You will have no anxiety because you're like, I don't know anything. But when there is suspense, it's because you're already thinking this is going to happen. This is what's going to happen, okay? And you have that fear and that anxiety. Does that make sense to you guys? Would you agree with me? Okay. So you're going to be using a chart like this one to so you can visualize what you will be doing. Okay? So this process that takes place in your mind is going to be on a piece of paper on this chart where you're going to write the page where you read the text. The clue is you're citing the text itself, the prediction that you make. I think this is what's going to happen. And then you're going to put a check mark or an X on correct or incorrect. And whether you're correct or incorrect, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because what is important is that your mind is going through the process of making a prediction. I mean, we all like it when we get it correct, right? But sometimes we don't, and that's fine. So as you read, this is going to be done as you read it, not after or before reading the story. It wouldn't make no sense. As you read The Most Dangerous Game, you're going to record your information here as you read. This is a reading activity. The Most Dangerous Game was written in a time when big time hunting or recreational hunting was considered glamorous and exotic. Back in the 1920s and 30s and the 1910s, Hollywood stars and celebrities would go out hunting to Africa, and there was like a big deal. Today you're watching celebrity news and it's, oh, this supermodel went to Ibiza and she clubbed and partied. And that's what gets like people that are fans of celebrities excited today. Back in the day, it was not that they were clubbing at Ibiza or at Cancun, cavorting in a beach. They were in Africa shooting elephants or hunting tigers. So that gives you an idea of the background of the story. You have a protagonist called Rainsford. He's very athletic guy. He has an accident and he ends up in a mysterious island. But this mysterious island is not abandoned. There's a guy there called Zaroff, and you're going to see what happens in this story. This story has been adapted many times, many different ways. And the most recent adaptation of this story, The Most Dangerous Game, is in a new app that came out called Qubits. Has anybody of you seen this app? They stream movies. It's like a Netflix or a Hulu, but for cell phones. Has anybody used it? Okay. Those of you that have been using it, have you seen The Most Dangerous Game? It's there. A new adaptation with Luke Helmsworth, the brother of the guy that plays Thor in the Marvel movies. Has anybody seen it? Oh, you saw it. Okay, so you have if you saw it, you have a pretty good idea of what the story is going to be about because this is the original story that you have right here, the very first one. Okay, so guys, you're going to read the story. As you read the story, you're going to be working on the chart. You will find the story on pages 16 to 36 of the book. You will be doing the applying your skills assessment. You will save it as a PDF, and you will not send it to me until I tell you to, until further notice. Okay, guys, any questions regarding the story? Okay, if there are no questions. Then I'll be seeing you guys later. Yes, go ahead. I did not hear the question. I'm sorry. Can you repeat? The chart, do it in a computer. Oh yeah, yeah, sure. I mean, everything has to be done on a computer, sir. You know that we're not supposed to be doing work in a notebook like some students used to do. We've said since the orientation, since before school began, that every work had to be done on Word or Docs and then saved as a PDF. So yeah, everything is done on a computer. Been doing stuff on notebooks. No can do, guys. No can do. So guys, I'll see you later in Zoom. Okay, we have a date. So see you in a while. Take care.